The Black Warrior from Welly Merck. That's a really bold name, but does the watch live up to that very bold name? Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches, and I'm able to feature another Welly Merck watch on the channel. And I'm really pleased that I have been able to get another one on this channel because they're producing some really interesting watches, and it's from a company that I've been really pleased with because they've actually been actively asking people for their thoughts about their watches because they want to improve their watches. And this Black Warrior might be a rather interesting one to share with you guys. Now, you would have seen that sponsored icon pop up, and that's because Welly Merck was nice enough to give me another one of their watches to share my experiences with you guys. And because of that, of course, I am going to leave a link in the description of this video to their website, but also to the store on Aliexpress if you prefer to buy it from there. This one is quite an interesting watch. There are some elements about it that I really like, and there's a couple that aren't my favorite, but they might be my own personal preferences, which is why I want to share with you this one with a whole bunch of footage and show you the watch in some more detail. So let's flip the camera around and let me show you this Welly Merck Black Warrior in just a little bit more detail and see if it actually lives up to this name. Well, the Welly Merck comes in their standard packaging, but this particular one, this Black Warrior, well, it's a 300-meter water resistance watch. Comes with a Miyota 8215. It's a dual crown, sapphire crystal, 42mm watch. This is for swapping out the bracelet, and it all does that for around about 200 Australian dollars, which is a relatively affordable watch from a brand that perhaps brings out some rather interesting watches. And I've actually been rather impressed by the quality of these watches. I've had a couple now, which has been very nice to be able to get a bit of an idea of their range of watches, but it's been also very nice just to get some experience with this particular one. So I've got some good things to say about this watch, and I've got a few things that I think are perhaps slight negatives, but I'm a little bit concerned that those negatives may just be my own personal opinions, so keep that in mind as I talk today, because this watch is obviously all black. It's black on black on black. Black bezel, black case, black bracelet, and I don't really like that sort of look to it. I don't mind a black watch, I think the idea of it is okay, but I think I just miss then the finishing because you can't have polished, you can't have brushed. It sort of just doesn't seem to sort of resonate with me. So that for me is a slight negative, but I do like as a package with that dark dial that has going on there with all the lume in there, that really then it makes it easy to read and very legible. And it does work as an overall package, and being called a Black Warrior, I guess it then links in with the name. Black crowns as well. So, I guess that may be my own personal opinion. It's interesting though, this has a unidirectional 120 click bezel, which has actually quite a nice sort of action to it. Lines up nicely. Then has an internal rotating bezel with a compass sort of rose on it, which makes me sort of feel that this is a bit more of a sort of an outdoorsy kind of sort of feeling watch to it. No screw down crown here, but it does have manual winding. This contains the Miyota 8215, which does have hacking, does have that hand winding, and of course it does have the quick date set change there at the 3 o'clock. The dial on this one is particularly interesting. It almost from a distance looks a bit like a meteorite, but it's not meteorite. It's just an interesting sort of slightly, I don't know, granulated sort of effect. It's quite different. I'm not really sure exactly how to explain the look of it. It's perhaps a slightly molded dial, but it doesn't really have that much texture to it. It just has an interesting effect to it. I actually quite like it. The hour markers with a double baton up there at the 12 o'clock are all applied. Polished surfaces, lume filled, a really nice set of hands, which I really like. Actually, it reminds me a little bit of my Christopher Ward with that big arrow hour hand, but nice long sort of sword-shaped minute hand there, and a really nice long arrow-tipped second hand, which is always nice. They're all polished as well, so that sort of links in nicely with the markers and those hands. The lume on this one is actually not that impressive. I think it actually shows up better on camera than it does in real life. The hands, as you can see that I'm sort of covering up now, are actually not the best lume. The rest of it is actually quite cool. What I do like, however, is how the actual compass rose is lumed. I think that is quite cool. I do like that as you can move it around there. But probably not the best lume, and I'm guessing that it doesn't last all that good throughout the night. But it does have quite a good set of dimensions for this sort of style. 43mm case, 12.8mm tall, a lug to lug of 48.4, but it does have male end links that do stick out a little bit further. So let's measure that one too. Makes it push it out to 53.2, but they do angle down quite a bit. And 22mm lugs. Now with all the links still in that bracelet, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it says 160.4 grams. Now there's a piece of flat crystal, and let's check that with the Diamond Select, shall we? Yep, that's showing that it is a sapphire crystal. It also has a see-through caseback, so let's see if that's mineral crystal or sapphire as well. Yep, that appears to be just mineral crystal on that see-through caseback. Now, as I mentioned, this one does contain the Miyota 8215, which is a really well-known workhorse movement, but it'll be nice and interesting to see it performing on my time grapher. Well, I think they're a reasonable set of figures for one of these Miyota movements. As you can see that it is vibrating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 0 beat error, very healthy amplitude, running a little bit above 0. There is a little bit of snow on the display there, but at this sort of price range for these Miyota movements, they sort of keep beating away, and I think that is actually a pretty decent set of figures from it. Has quite a nice case shape to it as well, which I quite like. A little bit of an undercut there. Being black again, not really much to say there. Now it has a dual crown as you saw before, but they are both signed. The rotating bezel has a compass rose, which matches in with the compass on that actual bezel there. And the standard crown has the Welly Merck logo. I really like the Welly Merck logo. If you look at it close there, it's a W with the M inbuilt. This one does have Welly Merck also on the dial. I've been discussing with the brand about that, and I think they're going to be transitioning to just having the logo, which I think is a good idea. But that's printed on in white as well. There's a second track around the outside. Automatics also in white, and in this sort of orange color, which gives a little bit of color to it, which links in with the triangle up there, 300 meters. Bracelet is solid end links. I think it's a pin and collar system, this particular one. But it has an interesting butterfly clasp, which I don't think is a particular feature of this one. I don't think that is exactly the right choice, but that's what it comes with. And as I showed you earlier, it has a see-through caseback. Now it actually is quite a comfortable watch on wrist, especially with how it sits down onto wrist, which is quite nice. Really nice sort of dimensions that sort of then fit quite nicely on my 17cm wrist. Now, I think this one really is going for the outdoorsy sort of idea or style behind it. Therefore, all being black kind of works in with that. Having that compass rose there and that sort of movable there is sort of works in with that as well. Non-reflective. I get what they're going for with this one, but what is it that I actually like about this one? What don't I like, and what would I change? Because there's a few things that I do like. I really like the hands on this particular watch. I like this style. I like how long they are. I am a big fan of dual crowns. I think that just looks quite good. I like that they've done it with the compass rose in there because that's something a little bit different and possibly quite usable. And I sort of do appreciate having that. However, I'm not a big fan of the black, as I mentioned. I'm not a fan of the butterfly clasp, as I mentioned. I think perhaps there's a few things that also could be changed about this one. I think it would look better on a silver bracelet, but again, that's my sort of issue. I'd definitely swap out that. I would also like to see this one with maybe a Seiko movement. Although this one's running quite well, I do tend to prefer Seiko movements in more affordable watches. So I'm not really too sure about this one. It's got some positives going for it, and it's affordable. So if you like the style of it and if you like black watches, well then that may make it a worthwhile investment for you. But for me, it's probably not one that's going to stay in my collection, but I still was quite excited to share this one with you. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Maybe check out these two videos next.